I will try and tell you why I think that I belong to the Beumont case in Australia. I was a child that was, I have a brother and I have two sisters, right? I think that their identification also moves on as maybe there's an island, Arkansas in Ireland, and maybe my brother also has, he's adopted, so it's more open spoken that he's from somewhere. He's actually sick right now, and that's also, I put up a lot of videos and information about the investigation on my child. This is Alex, right? But as I recall, there was a connection where Hannah wrote to New Zealand and to Northern Ireland. So the letters that the Beumont parents has, especially the mother, when she lived in New Zealand, might reveal something. And these letters came around Christmas. And if you ask Hannah if she knew someone in New Zealand, she says no. But if you ask her if I have seen the letters, she changed her mind and said, yes, I knew someone, right? She has been in Oxford and different places. She's also traveled a lot to US, Russia, Berlin. You know, my father was in Greece, Sweden, Norway, Ireland, you know, England, and so on. So they're very traveled. I think that the Beumont dad came to Denmark, or what I know as Denmark, right? And he was trying to negotiate, and he was killed. And I think that his body was exposed. Maybe the sea. There is a case over on this place where a man found dead in the sea, but I also found a picture where there's some other fire in a car. So basically the disposal, I'm not too sure, but we could probably get somewhere if the police sort of did their work, right? In this case, the people I grew up by are powerful in positional work, and they are also having a strong network up to government and maybe into a high level military. So basically, it's not only the abuse and explore and entertainment that's a problem, it's also a problem that they have a very grip on everything. There are powerful doctors, lawyers, links up in museum, in music, classical, TV, radio, sport, and so on. So the explore it's almost unbelievable how much money I made, and all of the money works against me, and that's why I can't really get anywhere, because I don't exist. So basically, when the media, I think that maybe the reason for the kidnapping was the big number media, such as understand that if they have if you think about it, if you have a sensational story about a serial killer, a missing person, at that time it was sensational. It was 3 children missing. And then I was asking somebody, why do you think he had chosen exactly those children and not someone else? And the person said, and he was connected to the military, that the dad of the Beumont was actually serving military under the Second World War effects or something. So basically, he might have been targeted because he had some kind of, there was somebody who didn't like him. I first thought about something like debt, gambling, something that made the criminal environment about media, entertainment, target exactly his kids. but the military person, whatever that's true or not, said it had a political aim. I think it had something to do with Israel, Palestine, but I think it could also something to do with Ireland, right? So basically, if you look at me, why I think I belong to that case is because I have a different understanding of nature. And for example, I remember that my dad told me about the larva bird, which is a bird that sounds like somebody's laughter. And I also remember he talked about dangerous species, and also that we have another way of thinking about Europe, about kingdoms, and also about nature. I think if I'm going to explain how I look at animals, I look the way that a British person who is interested in nature. But a little different from that. It's a little more wild than the British. It's not so organized. It's more like we still have a connection to the heart of Australia, which is the original people. And I also like followed the fight of the original people to get an excuse from the government, right? I also is very, very close to seawater, and you know that the sea for me is like another part of the country. It's not like it's out there or something. It's integration, right? I think that when I think and when I also my memories is I've been hit by terrorism sometimes, and I have like a cranium fracture. I have gun wounds and stuff like that. I've been, risking my life for Europe, DDR wall down, and Yugoslavia and Russia, and so I was captured in Russia. So basically, the non-existent, if you have no right, because you have no name, and you have no communication, and you hardly make it, right? And that, I studied a little about missing person, and that's exactly what it's about. If I'm a traffic victim later than when I was a child, right? So basically, the traffic victims have no status. They are not legal. So basically, this is why I can call police and lawyers and say, hey, they robbed my royalty, my patent, my government paychecks, and they can say we don't give a shit. So basically, I did, after they took my boy in September and Chris Stevenson was killed and I was almost killed, I figured out that I had to investigate it myself because I knew they wouldn't do it. And I came back to the media again. It's like having a killer paparazzi on your neck, And it's like that the media making big money, they don't want to talk about illegal case handling, wire scam, cyberbully, suppressed of talent. I'm a pretty good singer, lyric writer, as well as negotiator and stuff like that. But I don't exist. The future for me is probably, if I stay here, is probably die from some contained illness or being judged as some kind of weirdo. My son is probably the same. They are not interested in getting my son back to me or assure him a good education. They weaken him on purpose because he is the error of this, right? I also think that there's a misunderstanding about that I have a connection to the royal house. I don't really have it, but I know some people connect. I once slept in Buckingham on the way to Ireland peace process, right? They have a hotel wing. And I also sometimes worked beside of the Danes, right? But I'm never invited. I'm not like, I don't get like an invitation. So this about royal houses or other things is not true. I even think that Second World War ruined Denmark more than the Danes really know. And I maybe think they took away the clever, the artistic, and the royals, and the blue lines, right? So they've probably been replaced. And I think there's some pictures pointing that the children of the royal house is sometimes model, sometimes not, you know. So, and that's different when you are from an outside. You might view things as, okay, I'm a big, you know, I'm a person that people avoid because they know I'm a victim. And the lies in this society about how you treat elder, how you treat handicap, how you treat animals is horrendous. I mean, it would never do in England, or, you know. What I prefer, like, for example, I really like coconuts, which is rare in this country. I also like seashell crabs and stuff. I like a lot of the stuff Australians do. Then I've been looking at all the other missing cases. There's a case where a United States citizen with a stepfather, he's serving the United States in Germany. Could that be one? There's another case, I think, from Ireland or England. Could that be, you know? Because there's something wrong when you have no rights. But if I go back in my history, and I also think that Hannah's father and Hannah's husband knew each other from Australia, and I also think that the Beumont case is connected to the Utzon lottery kill. Basically because there's a similar person, the person with a photograph and the person walking out is black and white pictures. And I recognize in the Tron case the two people that are connected to my case. So basically, if I can I did identify the people from the Beumont case as the same as in the Tron case. And then it took, you know, then we looked over a lot of cases, and the text work was helpful for the FBI and stuff like that. The problem here is that I have no money, no car, no ticket, no plane. So basically, I really want to go back and talk to the Sydney police about it. I even called the Australian embassy, and I was sending over a DNA test, but the return professional equipment went wrong in the post. And I called in and said, listen, I need your help because I might have information on the Beumont case. And there was a Danish woman called Catherine who said, we don't help in crime investigation. And so I said, well, if this is concerning solving the Beumont case, is an Australian citizen, then you have to help. No, she said, but she was Danish, working at the Australian embassy, she said, but there's a lot of wire scam, right? So basically, they don't want to solve. And I also found that there were missing Bulgaria kids in 2012 in the Christiansen assault area. There's 2 missing USA handicapped boys in Ribe. There was 5 missing African US children, maybe in Skjern, and so on and so on. So they don't want to solve the cases. So basically, if you're a missing person, my advice is to, you know, move yourself. Another thing is that about missing dogs and horses, I spoke to a person in Belgium. He said like this: if you find a missing horse or dog, try and buy it free. Try and buy it from the theft, right? Because the police is not going to work on it.